Hey, what's up, YouTube? Just throwing out an update video. I know I haven't done or posted one in quite some time, so just wanted to get you guys caught up with everything as far as the tank is concerned. Uh, Tank's been, going through some ups and downs like everybody. Even the most experienced people or people who have been in the hobby for a while, they experience, the highs and lows as well. So. Just gonna walk you through it. So, right now the tank is in a recovery mode basically, because my water parameters were, way out of whack and all kinds of issues. So, first thing that happened was that my LED refugium light went out, um, and I decided to, just try an experiment with just using phosphate media, Phosguard, no, not Phosguard, Roaphos, and just to see if I can, keep my phosphates down using that instead of growing macroalgae. So that didn't work out too well. So my phosphates ended up being, the highest I measured it was 0.44 according to my HANA checker. Normally, my phosphates are pretty low, below zero point 0.1, like in the 0.05 or 0.06 range. So phosphates were elevated. Another issue was that my dosing pump, um, you gotta keep, every now and then you gotta keep track of how much you're dosing. Don't assume that once you set, how much you're dosing per day, that it's gonna be the same. So basically, um, calcium got out of whack. The highest my calcium I measured it was about 600 parts per million. Normally, I like to keep it in the low 400s, like 400 to 420, 440, anywhere in that range. Magnesium, for whatever reason, went off the charts. I guess it's a combination of the dosing, but magnesium was above 1500. I don't know how high it was because 1500 parts per million was as high as my test kit goes, so it was basically off the chart. So normally I like to keep it around 1300. What else has changed? So basically, with all those parameters changing, quite a few corals got affected. First off, my bird of paradise coral, which is, well, it's kind of smushed in here between the green Montipola and the purple stylus, like mostly here. That's pretty much all dead at this point. There's no saving that. It's 100% skeleton at this point, so that I'm gonna have to take out. Green Multipora, quite a bit of die off on this part here. The green is not so vibrant anymore. It's kind of peat washed out, very light color. But the interesting thing was that I knew something was wrong even before the corals started bleaching, was when my clownfish started or stopped laying eggs. Normally they would lay eggs, once the eggs hatch, within about 2 weeks or so, they would have another batch of eggs. So I noticed they haven't laid eggs for a few months, and usually when that happens is because something in the water chemistry isn't right. Maybe the alkalinity is too high or the phosphate is too high. Something happened that whenever that happens, they're not happy and they don't lay eggs. So I've been doing massive water changes. I think I did like 4 water changes in the last 2 weeks, just to kind of get everything back to normal, which I finally think I did, well, with the exception of phosphates. My phosphates are at 0.16 right now, so I'll be doing another water change in a couple more days. Calcium is back to normal, around 440. Magnesium is at 1275. So the only thing I want to get down further is my phosphate levels. So fish finally yesterday, actually, I don't know if I can get it focused. but right here they're laying eggs again, and they did this last night. So that's a great sign. That means, they like the water chemistry, and they feel comfortable enough to lay eggs. Rock anemone is looking bigger, since the water parameters are getting better. My Duncans are opening up a little bit more. Basically, overall, corals are responding better. Um, Purple stylo, most of it is died off, partly because of the parameters issue, but mostly because it's just gotten so big it's shading itself. So my plans are to basically cut, the bottom 2/3 of the coral and just drop, the top part onto the base rock. So I'm just going to cut away the bottom 2/3 and glue the top parts back onto the rock and basically let it kind of regrow again. But it's gotten huge. Other than that, corals or everything else is pretty much the same. I did lose one fish, and I finally found it. Was my yellow wrasse, and it was missing for a few months, and I thought it died in a tank. But the other day I basically found him on the floor. So I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but a certain person in my household, when they feed the fish, keep forgetting to close the glass lid. So it basically jumped out. And the funny part is, it was months after I finally found him. When I did find him, he looked the same. He had the same vibrant yellow color. He looked like an actual fish. It wasn't rotted or anything. It was basically like a potato chip, very crisp and hard, but it still had all the same colors, and it looked exactly like it did in the tank. It was very strange. Like I mentioned below or before, let me adjust my lights. Yeah, as I mentioned before, my LED lamp went out. I was running the WavePoint LEDs, and that was the second one that basically went out on me. So I guess it's just the humidity in the refugium area. It just does not like that set of lights. So I replaced it, and now I'm going back to, I'm going to grow some algae again, because I don't want to go through this whole issue again. So I'm going back to growing microalgae to keep my nutrient levels down. So I bought on Marine Depot the PAR 38. I think is a 19 watt LED that they recommend for growing microalgae. It's a combination of a couple different colors of whites and some blues. So I'm going to be doing that, see how this light works out, if it's any better than the WavePoint. It should be. I mean, in terms of the wattage, this was a 19 watt. I believe the WavePoints were, I want to say, like 8 or 9 watts each, and I did run 2 that I would alternate, but this I'm just going to run 1. And other than that, I think that pretty much covers it. So yeah, like I mentioned, the next thing I'm going to do is cutting down this purple